Oh, what's up, fam? Welcome to the Wonk podcast. It's our first episode. This week we have Anders Holm of Workaholics. If you stay tuned after, you'll see a dope reimagination by Bleach Media Official, where they take one of the stories that Durs tells about how he met Kyle and Adam, and then they just make it into this really cool visual concept. So, it's super dope. Like and subscribe. Listen to all of the podcasts on iTunes, and let's just have fun and stay connected and, I don't know, write each other. Do we do pen pal still? Wonk.
Tina did mention something about 60-40 or 30-70 about having some crazy, the majority crazy, I think, and then a few Harvard style writer people to reel them back in and go, okay, I'm taking all this insanity and I'm gonna structure it.
Yeah.
I think that's how she broke it down.
I think that's you. I think you encapsulate that. 40% crazy or 60% crazy, 40% Harvard.
It's in me. Right.
For real.
It's like state school.
Yeah.
So it's like the bootleg, and I'm not even that crazy.
You're not that crazy.
And I'm not that Harvard.
But you're not that Harvard. You're a little
I'll take that.
I think it's good.
I'll take it.
When I first met you, that's exactly what I thought too. Not in those words, but I'm like, right. You come in, I'm like, who the fuck's this guy?
Who is this?
I'm like, whoa, they added another piece? That's cool. And I was like,
okay.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm available, but
right.
You're taller. And then I also was like, oh shit, you're have some structure, some writing structure.
Right.
Which they needed.
I am somebody who needs structure. I'm loose. So growing up, I needed structure to kind of be like, hey man, let's reel you back in or else you will just be a total mess. And then I think I apply that to my brain as far as creativity. You know what I mean? I got all these fucking dumb, stupid things in here that wouldn't make sense. But I also think that the way people have tried to structure me and then I've ended up having to structure myself, I also do that to my loose thought process and kind of reel it in and organize it, which is writing. I think that's what writing is. I don't know, for me.
Or you're just a crazy dude that's just yelling stuff and not
I mean, I do that too. That's why my wife is like, can't we just both work in the same room? I'm like, we could. You'd leave me.
Yeah.
Because I would, just be talking in other people's voices because, you try and do characters out loud and you're like, does this sound authentic or real? And then also I never see her because we're both working, so I would just bother her the whole time.
Yeah. Do you stand up when you're these other characters?
Sometimes. If I'm scripting, no. If I'm thinking out a scene, and doing beats on my whiteboard kind of thing, I'll be standing already. So it's I'll just kind of be playing it out. Yeah.
That's dope. Where do you think you got this structure from? College, or when did you get that?
I was what was known as a Bebe's kid. I was wild. Not malicious or criminal. Well, I broke the law, but I just hated trying to be controlled and shit, especially in school. And then my parents just locked me the fuck down. So after school, from 7th and 8th grade, instead of going to just kick it with everybody after school, because my grades were so shitty, my dad made me go to his office and just do my homework, straight from school. And then I had swim practice after that. So swimming was also another thing where it's helps you organize your life, because you're well, I know I do this in the morning, then I go to school, then I do that again at night, and repeat, and I liked swimming, so I had to maintain a certain level of organizational and grades and stuff to stay on the team. Other than that, I would have been
under the same rules?
No, my oldest brother's smart. He was a little wild, but just smart and socially off the charts. People just like him. And then my middle brother is just super likable too, and kind of like all around good at everything. He was more of like a all around athlete guy.
Is that the buff one?
Yeah, he's super yoked.
He is.
He did like the 3 sports, you know what I mean? And my dad was an athlete, so he dug that. But yeah, and then I was like way younger, so I had to like struggle for attention. And you know, you gotta, as a dad now, you spot all the like pitfalls. You're like, oh my God, I wanted negative attention. I was starved for it. I was gonna get it however I wanted to, or like however I could. But yeah, so they had to just kind of lock it down.
Yeah.
Can't nobody lock me down now, though.
No one's gonna knock you down now. Now you're the star of everything.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes.
How is that for your brothers now?
Oh my God, debilitating.
Is it? It's hard.
Yeah, I don't know. We got to get him on the cast. My oldest brother's out here. He's writing. He's trying to get in where he fits in, and then my middle brother's living the life, dude. He works for like an insurance company and just bangs out on the weekend, man.
Goes like Lollapalooza. And...
Yeah, he's just a weekend warrior. So,
who's funnier, your mom or your dad?
You know, they're both characters. And when I moved out to LA, I started realizing this, that you have funny people and you have characters. And then you have some people that are like, they know how to marry the both of them. You know what I mean? So my parents are just like characters, but they're not like funny. You know what I mean? They're not like witty.
Yeah.
Like my dad has an arsenal of dad jokes, but it's not like he's got like a sharp, witty sense of humor. Like I think that if somebody made a joke at his expense, he would not dig it. And I don't think my mom would either. Not that they don't like to laugh, not that they can't be funny. I just think that they're more like characters. Like my mom's this Southern ex-flight attendant that moved to Chicago just to like change it up. Met my dad, and my dad's this like ex-football playing dude from the 60s with a buzz cut type guy, you know.
Yeah.
They're kind of like archetypes. I like to, I don't know. I used to think I wasn't a character, but now I think like I just wasn't self-aware. And now when you're around a lot of comedy people have to be very self-aware because you want to know, A, like if you're funny, and then B, like what makes you funny. Like stand-ups have to like figure that out. They're like, oh, I tell like little one-liners, you know, that's my thing.
Yeah.
But then you find out like, man, nobody wants to see you do one-liners. They liked that part where you told something about yourself a little bit more. And then you start playing into that, and then you become less of a one-liner guy and more of a guy who's like, oh, I talk about my life as like an ex-figure skater or whatever.
Louis C.K. changed up to that. He was like one-liner to story guy.
Oh, really? Yeah,
and
I know. Yeah,
that's when he started becoming like the huge.
Yeah, exactly. You can hide behind those one-liners. You know, I think maybe those are for people who are scared to let people in.
Yeah. And
then if you never change.
What made you move to LA?
I wanted to write movies. I'd seen Rushmore, and was like, you know, I grew up watching movies and TV like crazy. But in the 80s and 90s, things weren't, as far as I could tell, super stylized. Like big comedies weren't super stylized. You know, you can go back now and argue that like Ivan Reitman had a style or whatever, but it wasn't like a stamp, you know.
Yeah.
You didn't watch a John Landis movie and go, that's so John Landis. John Hughes had like a little bit of a stamp, but he would even just kind of like duck in and duck out. Like Ferris Bueller had a stamp, but like you watch something,
but there's not
like 16 Candles, and like maybe dude looks in the camera and like raises his eyebrows, but you're like, then you're back into the movie. But like I saw Rushmore, which has such a stamp on it. Like we all know what a Wes Anderson movie is now. They're easy to parody because they're so specifically whatever. Mm-hmm. And I recognized that and was like, wait, who made this? And it's like, oh, some like 30-year-old dude. And I'd already seen Bottle Rocket when I was in like 7th grade and loved it. And like it was a movie my boy John would rent. I was like, oh, then I looked up. I'm like, he was like 26 when he made Bottle Rocket. That's off the hook. Like, this dude was just like a young buck. And loved Owen Wilson. You know, I was like, oh shit, the dude from Cable Guy who like comes in the mix, and like, just always the dude from Anaconda, from The Haunting. He would always just show up and kind of kill it. But Wes Anderson and him together had that magic to make like super dope movies. And I was like, oh, like these are guys just young, cool dudes making stuff. Can I do that? Then I started taking a lot of classes in college. I was too stupid to get into the communication school because you had to have like a B average. And as we spoke before, school was not my friend. So I would take all the classes I could up until they were like, you can't take screenwriting, you have to be in the major. But I got to take like film production, TV production, and like film classes where you just watched all the classics and stuff like that. And I wrote 2 bad screenplays. You know, I thought they were cool. And they're cool still, but they're not good.
Full length?
Yeah. Oh, full length? We're talking like 140 pages.
Wow.
One of them's like 140. The other one's like probably 130. Too long. Kyle read the first one I ever wrote, which was like, it was a therapy group of ex-cons. So it's like, hey man, you're out of jail. You get to go to therapy for free. And then the dude who runs the therapy session has like a mental breakdown outside of the class. Everyone arrives and he's like, hey man, I know we're all you guys are all suicidal. You're right, it's not worth it. Let's all go on a road trip and kill ourselves the exact way we want to. And everyone's like, what? He's like, yeah man, I'm telling you, this is the way. And then they go on this road trip. They're like, oh, I'm gonna do it this way, I'm gonna do it that way. And then along the way, because of how like flawed these guys are regarding like society and like impulse control, they're like fucking up. But then they kind of have a camaraderie, and they're like, back half of Act 2, they're like, oh, we don't want to kill ourselves, but we've left this like wake of crimes along the way, and now the police are fucking after us. And then the entire third act is just this chase scene with people killing themselves.
So they end up killing themselves.
Rad. Yeah. It's total like art school, like dark comedy.
Yeah.
Like I'm pushing the envelope. And I think the idea is still kind of cool, but like, you know, the execution's whatever. Every like scene has its like song. It's like Portishead, fucking whatever. But yeah, just not great. So I took those 2 scripts and moved out to LA, and didn't realize I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. So I took like some bullshit day jobs, and just
like what?
Like I worked at Lacoste on Rodeo Drive because I needed some clothing, and they hook you up if you work there. I was a swim coach at the Brentwood School, and then I got an internship at a production company called Josephson Entertainment, run by Barry Josephson, who's produced a ton of huge movies. He was an executive at Columbia in the 80s and 90s. And on that, they were producing 2 TV shows. One of them was Bones, and I got a job on Bones. And the dude who created that show, Hart Hansen, was like a swimmer. So we would talk swimming. Oh. And he was like, so you want to write movies? I'm like, yes, that's my thing. I write movies. It's what I do. And he hipped me to the fact that like movies you write and then you kind of give away, and then they do whatever they want with them. TV is where if you're a writer and you want the control of what happens with your product, your script, you have the final say as the writer, and the directors come in and they kind of work as a gun for hire. And I was like, oh, okay. And then I started watching more TV as a student, looking for that voice like I picked up on with Wes Anderson, and taking cracks at writing episodes of TV. I think my first spec was a Curb Your Enthusiasm. Then I wrote an Office. Then I wrote Arrested Development. I wrote a How I Met Your Mother. I wrote a Always Sunny in Philadelphia, New Adventures of Old Christine mashup, where Old Christine, that's like Julie Louis-Dreyfus.
Oh,
she had a show for like 2 seasons with like Wanda Sykes. They all took a trip with their family to Philadelphia to like see the historical sites.
Cool.
And got mixed up with the dudes. I thought it was kind of fun.
Who would you have pitched that one to, or who would you have sent that
Whoever.
one?
I mean, I had a manager at that time that I got with mail order comedy dudes. So like at the same time writing all these scripts, I took a Second City class to meet people. Met Adam Devine.
This is how far after you get to LA?
This is like 18 months or like 2 years in.
So you're doing all these little
Because I was
jobs.
like, I don't want to act. My friends who I knew out here were like, who weren't in the business at all, were like, you're a clown. You should at least try it. And I was like, all right. And like now I know like my capacity. You know what I mean? Like I know where I'm at. I like it. I can do it. It's serviceable. But like, you know, I know people. When you see people like Adam or Blake who can just like grip it and rip it, you know, and like just get there, you're like, that's tight. But so I met Adam, who was doing like sketch improv stuff with you guys down at OCC at the time, and he had dropped out and just moved to LA with Kyle, and then we just started linking up, and Adam and I wrote a pilot together about like a stand-up comedian who goes to college and doesn't really want to, and he's doing stand-up on the side and like pulling from his dorms experience. And then we were doing sketch stuff, and that's how we got our manager. So like I was writing all these things with my manager, and then writers at Bones also sent my stuff to an agent, so I had an agent. What sucked is that he was like the agent to like 6 showrunners.
Oh.
And like for him to work for me would mean he'd have to work very hard. So I didn't get the tender love, but I also was like, fuck this, and fired him. You know what I mean? Like a year had gone by, and I think I had 1 meeting, and I was like, you're too busy, dude. We're done.
Nice.
And he was like, huh? And I was like, what are you doing for me? And he's like, you know, and, all right, fine. He didn't care.
Yeah.
But like I always tried to keep like a little bit of self-worth.
Nice.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're not sending me out, I'm out. Because what's the difference?
First agent after a year. I mean, I don't know many people that would do that.
You just have to. Because then like you're not being like present or whatever. You're not following what's happening.
Yeah.
And if you're writing stuff, and another thing is he's like, I don't know what Always Sunny in Philadelphia is. And I'm like,
Oh.
okay, it's a brand new show. It's out.
It's a new style.
Everyone's going to watch it. It's now in its 11th season. But what are you going to do? You know, just things like that. I see him now. He's at my agency now. He's a nice dude. I just had to be like, it was like depressing me to be like, this isn't working. I'm out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's a relationship.
So what did you do after that? Once you fired him, what was
I
the
didn't
plan?
have an agent for years. Because I wasn't working at Bones anymore, so I didn't have anybody to like slip scripts to. I was doing more sketch stuff with the guys, so I had a manager. But yeah, I didn't have like an in. I wasn't part of a community. I wasn't doing like UCB wasn't out here yet. Second City's not that big of a community out here. I wasn't a stand-up, so I didn't have that. I was just writing stuff and kind of working odd jobs. And then after a couple of years, I got a job as a PA on Real Time. And then I felt like I was back in the mix, you know, working with writers and stuff. I was a PA. But, like, when you're around writers and, like, you just feel like you're closer to making it happen. And I wanted to get a job there, but by the time would have even been, like, listened to or eligible, me and the dudes got Workaholics.
What was it like when you first met? Well, Adam, we kind of talked about because you met him at Second City or Groundlings.
Yeah, I mean, he tells a story pretty funny, because he's funny. But like I was like, this dude has characters. He's super funny. He's got timing. He's got like crazy energy, super likability. And I think he just thought I was crazy weird, and was like, "What's the vibe?" Like you say, there's that like, whatever however I come off the first time, people are like, "Huh," and then they can either hate me or like me.
It's a masculine vibe.
Thank you. And you know what? In 2018, I still take that as a compliment.
You should.
It's masculine, huh? That's hilarious. So then, like in the parking lot, I was like, "You're pretty funny." He was like, "Oh yeah, you're funny too, man. Like, what do you do?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm like a writer." He's like, "Cool, I do stand up." And then his old roommate Christine was like pulled up and was like, "Beep beep," and he was like, "Hang on, I'm talking to somebody," and we like exchanged numbers, like
Nice.
like two people courting each other.
He introduced you to Kyle?
No, I met Kyle at like a house party Adam had, and Kyle like tried to fight me.
Masculine and two masculine energies.
I guess so. It was hilarious. He was super hammered, and I was like, somebody was like yelling at me to get out of the upstairs apartment. I was like, okay, I'm out of here, because it was like a duplex party.
Yeah.
And nobody knew me up there because everyone I knew was downstairs. I'm like, oh, I'll check out what's going on upstairs. And they were like, "Who are you?" I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought this was a party." "Yeah, it's not." And I was like, "Oh, you're an asshole? I could be an asshole." And then I was like, "All right, I'm out of here." And then Kyle was like, who was it?" And I guess Kyle had also just fought Adam in the front yard. They like went to blows, and like Kyle fell over into some bushes or something. So he was super hammered. And I like grabbed my Jamie Foxx DVD that I had lent Adam, and Kyle was like, "You can't take that. That's my friend Adam's friend's DVD." I'm like, "I'm the friend." He's like, "Oh, no." And then Adam's like, "Dude, what are you doing? Chill. That's his DVD." And I'm like, "I'm out of here. Later." And then we went and saw Kung Fu Hustle the next day.
You and Kyle?
And Adam, and we've been bonded ever since.
That's cool. When did Blake roll in?
A little later, because he stayed in school.
Yeah.
And you know, Blake is like the little quiet storm.
Yeah.
I've met a couple people like him who, I don't have it. They have the capacity to just chill and size you up before they let you in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas as soon as I like meet somebody, I don't shut up. And I'll tell you exactly what I'm thinking. Blake's a little bit more like reserved, waits to make his move kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was like, all right, is this dude going to be telling jokes? We're about to roll. And, you know, as the camera came on, he lit it up.
Was the goal a TV show right when you met Adam, right when you met Kyle? When was it just like, oh, shit?
I mean, as soon as my homie Hart Hansen from Bones told me TV is where you are the writer in control, that was my end game. Like, a lot of people want to go on SNL, and like that would have been fun for me. I'm not a characters guy, but I would have enjoyed that, and like that kind of exposure and that high wire act and like writing new sketches every week. But having my own show seems that would be the promised land. You know what I mean? Like, SNL is amazing, but it seems like it's become this like launch pad where it's like, yeah, I want to get to especially now that like content's been like democratized. Like, you get on SNL, but at the same time in the off season, you're doing a ton of shit. Whereas back in the day, it was like, I kill it on SNL.
That's all I got to do.
And then like I go and like write a huge big budget movie because like I'm primed to pop in like the Mike Myers, Will Ferrell days. But now it seems like things have been democratized, and now it's like it's one of my things. SNL is like one of my things, and then I also like write little indie movies and do stand up, and like I think I kind of saw that coming and was like, I think I'd rather just have my own show. And fucking got it, which was crazy.
Amazing.
Because then my whole career goal happened. And now I'm like,
What podcast boxing?
I'm just talking into a box with 2 microphones and a coiled cable.
Yeah, 2
and
coiled
hella
cables.
batteries.
Yeah,
There are so many batteries.
I'm prepared. I got 2 SD cards too.
So now I'm on like the back half, but you gotta like raise your expectations or whatever, or like switch your game up.
Should own a studio now.
I'm not that guy. I'm not a mogul.
What is the goal? What is like the main?
I did it. I just
you
told
did
you.
it.
I
But
did it.
what's your next mountain? What's the next goal?
Life.
Life is goals, baby.
I mean, I got kids now, so everything's changed. You know, you can't just look in the mirror and go like, you're gonna fucking conquer the world.
Yeah.
It's like you look in the mirror and you do that, and then you just hear a kid in the background, and you're like, I'm gonna change a diaper. Is what I'm gonna do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go change a diaper.
Yeah.
But so now I guess I just want to rinse and repeat. You know what I mean? Like wash Workaholics off, put the shampoo back in the hair, and start scrubbing.
Who would you say was it you that was the driving force when it came to like, let's think this. Let's not just think YouTube videos, or was it all 4 of you guys?
No. That's the one thing that was like dope about Adam, Blake, and Kyle is that like we made sketches, but like, you know, Kyle wanted to direct movies. Adam wanted to be a movie star. Blake wanted to do as many creative things as possible, you know, at a level where a lot of people see it. You know, I wanted to write TV shows like that people watch. We all wanted to get have a certain level of like impact culturally, where like people are tuned in to your message, your show, your movie. And I liked that about them. And they backed it up with like work ethic. You know, we're not all like, I don't know if we worked smart, but we worked pretty hard. You know, we would meet like 2 times during the week. We would pitch ideas. We would pick an idea. We'd come back the next day during the week and have it written up and refine it and punch it up and like give it a different ending or like give it something else. And then we'd sit down on the weekend and shoot it.
So like a sketch a week, kind of.
Yeah, and we did that for fucking a ton of weeks. I think we did like 80 videos. And I wouldn't say we did one every week because you'd have like, going to fucking Evanston this week, so I'm gone. That's my voice.
Yeah.
Blake wouldn't say that.
No.
That was an impression of myself. But we would grind, you know, and like those dudes still work hard. And like Adam has like a crazy appetite for like getting shit done. Blake has an awesome like fine-tooth comb for like a sniff test. Like, is this really gonna hit? Is this really gonna be something that people get into? Kyle has a way of like, all right, we're gonna like film it this way, where you're like, whoa, okay, that's cool, that's crazy, that'll give it a little something different. And then I like to think I make sure things have like a beginning, middle, and end that's like super satisfying. And it's not just about the joke. It's about, hey man, you got 3 minutes. People are going to tune out in minute 1 or 2 if you don't have something that carries them to the end and hopefully surprises them. You know, and by the way, we whiff on all those things or one of those things half the time.
Yeah.
But you just keep going and you do the next thing and you fail to go, oh, okay, that doesn't work. Let's never do that again. Or if we try that again, next time we got to do it differently. And what's weird is that a lot of that shit's still out there. If you do live comedy, it's like a fart in the wind. It's fucking gone forever. Nobody knows. We were filming our shit, so it's like you could see some pretty bad stuff.
You see the growth.
Yeah, it's HD. You can see all the growths on my neck.
Yeah. Hey guys, just doing a quick plug for Magical to Radical. It's going to be September 22nd at 1720 East 16th Street in Los Angeles. It's a super dope show. Fade Up, Bye Bye is going to be there. You know, we got a couple headliners. It's going to be incredible. Last year we had Uncle Blazer DJ, so you never know who's going to pop in. Roll out. Well, so let's talk about Workaholics. What was it before Walter found you guys? Like, what was the concept? What was...
It was a web series about dudes fucking around in an office, and living together at home, and kind of just like, I mean, it was like there was like a depression or recession at the time, which was hilarious for me because I was so broke that it did not affect me. Like, people were like, I'm losing my house. And I'm like, house? You got a house?
Congratulations.
Tight. You know, I was making fucking like $20,000 a year, maybe 18,000. Like, I was broke.
But you were only doing Hollywood type stuff, not...
No, this was, when the recession hit, I was doing like odd job stuff. Like, I was calling for like John Kerry to fucking get elected. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of shit, which is why Workaholics was the job it was, just because telemarketing, Adam did it in high school, I did it out in LA. I was telefundraising, but like, it's brutal. Like, it's robocalling style, not robocalling, but like, it's hooked up to a computer where like, as soon as you're done, it just dials you into the next one. You can't just like kick it and be like clowning. It goes right to the next one, and you have to do the script and like try and seem like a normal human and rope these people into like giving money. And they're just like, hey, fuck off and take me off your calling list.
Yeah.
Which is kind of depressing. Like, after a day of people being like super shitty to you, like having air horns blown into your phone, it sucks.
Soul crushing.
Yeah. So you're like, oh, this is the worst job ever. Let's make a show out of that. And then it just kind of sat there. And then Walter Newman from Comedy Central saw it.
How long did it sit there? And you worked with another crew too, right?
Yeah, it was for a website called Fifth Year.
Mm-hmm.
And they were doing like content for, like, fifth year means like your fifth year out of like you're out of college. So like,
yeah,
content for people out of college. And this was kind of like our first job out of college type, or people's first job out of college experience. And it was like recession, so there were shows like The Office that were on that were like super drab, like, work. And we're like, you have a job. That's crazy. Like, you're lucky to have a job. And we were kind of like, let's make the show about these dudes who can't believe they have a job together. It's a shitty job, but like, they're hanging out all day, like clowning around, like taking bathroom breaks and like smoking weed or whatever, you know, like trying to make the best out of this situation. Having fun.
Yeah.
That was kind of our thing. It's like, why is this so soul crushing to like go to work? Does it have to be?
Yeah.
And I guess that's also our personality types, is that like, even though my job when I was calling for Greenpeace or John Kerry or whoever it was, it would change. I would still try and be like, I'm going to have fun with this. I'm going to talk to somebody, like, I'm going to just like try and hit it off with somebody right now today. And, you know, sometimes you wouldn't, but sometimes you would. And you go, all right, this wasn't that bad. That person just gave $300 to Greenpeace. I'm saving some whales. But yeah. So Workaholics was that. That was like the tone we were going for. It wasn't like a massive hit, you know what I mean? Like, there were other sketch groups on YouTube, like Derek Comedy,
it's Donald Glover, right?
Donald Glover, Dom Durkees, and long hair, beard cat, not DC Pearson, and those dudes were just killing it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, those guys are super funny, smart dudes, and had like viral hits, which as soon as you get one, you're in.
Yeah.
We didn't have one. But Walt had just seen this one and was like, okay, that could be a show. So then he was like, can you guys write scripts? And I put my hand up and was like, yeah. And then we got together.
This is a phone call? Or this is a...
This was a meeting. We got brought in. And every meeting there'd be more and more executives across the table from us. And we would just essentially go in and clown and perform and whatever. not really pitch as much as like just let them see the rapport we have and like the energy and the fun we have.
So there was never really like a set pitch. It was
no. By the time it got to a level where like executives want to be able to read that you can spell and shit like that, I'd written together a pitch packet that had like, these are the characters. This is what's wrong with each one of them. This is what's right and why you want to watch each one of them. This is who they are that you can kind of relate to, like your friend. Da 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 da. This is the position they're in. They're fresh out of college yet, like they don't know what they're doing. They don't know who they are. The way we're shooting it is like this. It's gonna have this kind of tone. Here's 3 examples of an episode we might do.
And that's you talking mostly, or
no? This is like a written thing.
Okay.
We never really talked out. I don't think we ever really talked it out. I think we just
sent it and then just hung out.
Put it on the table. Said, here's your like, we're leaving this for you guys to read later, but right now, we're just gonna clown, talk about what we want this show to be in a way that was like super vague, and us just being funny and like fucking with each other, and them kind of being able to sit and watch the show there. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, this is the show. It's these guys. Yeah.
That's dope. And so when you got the green light to make how many episodes?
We got $50,000 to shoot a pilot, which was like $1 zillion. We all quit our job. Or no, we didn't quit our jobs, but like we put most of it. We quit our jobs for I'm mixing things up. We got $27,000 to shoot this web series like the year before.
From Fifth Year?
No, from another company. And we like quit our jobs for the summer and just pocketed most of the money and then put a little bit of money into the web series. And it was fun. It was Crossbows and Mustaches.
Yes.
As you know. And this time we're like, we got to put it all on the camera, put it all on screen. So I don't think we pocketed much. I mean, Kyle probably took some because that's just who he is, a little under the table.
I know him.
I know he's listening, and yeah. I know you got extra ducats, bro.
Oh yeah, man.
But I mean, it was like a lot of favors, a lot of super cheap, filming on the cheap, borrowing locations and shit. And we turned it in, and they dug it, and then we got the 10. That's how we got greenlit for 10. But they sat on it for like 6 months because they had to wait for South Park dudes to come back from doing Broadway, and we were like, is this happening? And then they gave us 10. We had to reshoot the pilot, which was super weird because like we improvise a bunch, and like you have these magic moments that you try and recreate, and you're like, well, doesn't exactly hit like it did on the old pilot, but then we have new moments and
new actors.
We got a new woman playing the boss. Mary Beth Monroe stepped in and fucking became Alice. Yeah. And it was a whole weird thing to like have a bunch of dads carrying lights and stuff around for you. For like dumb shit that you wrote down that you're like, this could be funny. And then they give you, I think it was like $680,000 an episode at that time. Something like that.
Personal money?
No, to the budget of each episode.
Oh, okay.
That would have been tight to make $640,000 personally per episode.
You're doing that now, right? I don't know. You're probably up there now. No comment.
No comment, baby. Let's just say I got a cleaning lady.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was cool. And then, the show worked. People liked it, and it weirdly like grew, which doesn't happen that often. They usually like splash you with a bunch of like posters and try and hit America over the head with like, a show's coming out, you gotta watch it. And then if you don't, they're like, fuck. But like we got a little bit of posters here and there and whatever, and then like word of mouth caught on, and people dug it.
Dope. At what point did you know that like, oh, this is gonna be my life? Like I don't have to get another job again after this. Another regular human job.
Well, I wasn't even super like. So we wrapped shooting and didn't even air for a long time. Mm-hmm. But I guess I would say like after after season 1, I was like, oh, we got this. And then we got greenlit to write super quickly. Because they were like, we don't want to lose you guys to whatever else. So yeah, and I just knew, I could feel that like people were connecting with it. And like, it was just super fun. You know what I mean? Like, you go to work and you just fuck around. Like, I went to a birthday party the other night of one of our writers, and there was a handful of people there from Workaholics, like writing staff. And you just jump right back in the pocket and you're clowning. And you've got all these inside jokes from, I don't know, these guys wrote like 5 years ago, but like, there's nothing funnier than being in a writer's room with a bunch of funny people. Even being on set, like you can see some funny stuff, but like what you imagine the thing to be on set might be just the funniest thing ever. And then stuff that's not even about the show. You're just fucking around with people who are super funny.
Yeah.
That's a good time.
Well, that's dope. So after Workaholics, you got some acting opportunities, or during Workaholics, you got acting opportunities, right?
Yeah, it was cool. It was like a launchpad McQuack.
Yeah, like working with Chris Rock.
Worked with Chris Rock.
How was that?
Fucking dope. You know, I mean, I'll be honest. Like, when someone was like, they were like, hey, you want to do this Chris Rock movie? We were writing at the time, and like, I didn't want to leave the room. I was like, look, man, this is my baby. This is season 2, maybe getting ready for season 3. And I was like, this is our baby. Like, I don't want to leave the room for like 2 weeks. Like, we only got 10 to write. Like, these are critical times. Like, why would I go do some movie when like, who knows what's going to be happening here in the room without me, blah, blah, blah. And like, keeping it real, Chris Rock didn't have like the best track record as far as movies, you know, like Pootie Tang is dope, but like, it's kind of like a cult classic, you know what I mean? And his other movies don't like hit the way you think like Chris Rock should hit. So I was skeptical. But then I read it and I was like, oh, this is totally different. This is like a Woody Allen movie meets Chris Rock kind of thing. It had a different vibe. And then one of the producers called me and told me like what they were going for. And I was like, all right, let's fucking do it. Let's go. And then I got there and did all sorts of crazy shit. Chris was the fucking man. Rosario Dawson's fucking, she's one of those people that you're like, oh wow, like you're spinning all these plates and you can do it all well. Like she was like, I just finished writing a comic book, and I was like, huh? She's like, then I'm going to build like this crazy what do they call it? Whatever, statue thing at like Burning Man, this installation at Burning Man. I'm like, huh? And she's like, then I'm gonna do a movie. I'm like, huh? I just didn't. She just has bandwidth to do all sorts of cool, crazy, creative shit. And you know, I got to like throw down with those people, and pretend to get a tampon with hot sauce shoved up my butthole.
Yep.
So,
acting, baby.
Acting. So, what's up, Mom? What's up, Dad?
There it is.
They saw it twice in the theaters.
Really?
Which I didn't understand.
They didn't see the...
But then again, they are characters, so...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was dope.
You also got to work with Paul Thomas Anderson.
I did. It was so weird. So, like, I'm a bad auditioner. / I don't know. My comfort level's got to be super, like... I got to really break in to be comfortable and, like, be any good. And I auditioned for, I think it was The Master, and I just didn't get it. And then I auditioned for Inherent Vice, and I didn't get it for this cop.
You asked your agent to audition for this?
Apparently, he watches Workaholics and, like, likes it, which is fucking unreal, because Wes Anderson and Paul Thomas Anderson are my two favorite directors, or at least, like, when I was young, I was like, both these cats made their first movie when they were 26. That's the cutoff. Of course, 26 came and went, but Workaholics happened when I was 28.
That's
close.
Okay.
Close enough.
Forgiven.
But so, like, to be in his movies, it was almost like, you don't want me in your movie, man. Like, now I can't even watch it because, like, I'm in it or whatever. Like, one of those things where, like, you don't want to ruin your appreciation for somebody's movies by being in it. And, like, a lot of people don't have that. I do. So I didn't get the part for this cop. But then, like, 48 hours before, they go, hey, do you want to come in and still play the cop? And I was like, oh, yeah. Like, all right. You have one line. The other cop gets all the other lines. I'm like, dude, I'm in. I get there. It's a night shoot. We're writing, or maybe we're writing Workaholics, or maybe it was during like an off week or something like that. But we're in the middle of something at Workaholics. So I go from work to set. I'm there all night. I film with Joaquin, Martin Short. I made Martin Short laugh one time.
Wow.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I can hang it up.
Bucket list.
I say my line. I don't see Paul Thomas Anderson. He's at Video Village, which is very far away. I'm having a good time, kind of. The AD is like, you need to get lower. We can't see you like in the windshield where the camera is. And I'm like, okay. But I'm like, I can't get lower. Like, I'm on the hood of the car. Hey, do this. And I'm like, all right, you stay here. Let me show you what I'm doing. Do this. Exactly. Cool. Rolling, action. I do that. Can you get lower? I'm like, I can't. I'm fucking this all up. End of the night, 80's like, hey, Paul's coming over. He wants to say what's up. I'm like, this is it. Bye, Joaquin. Oh, Joaquin's gone. Martin Short. Oh, he left too. He didn't want to say peace. And then PTA comes over. He's like, hey, man, what's up? And I'm like, nothing, dude. Like, this is awesome. Like, how was that? He's like, great. Good work. Stuff. Like, great. You want a drink? It is 6 a.m. And he's got, like, a bottle of, like, whiskey. I'm like, yes. Let's kick it. And we just stand by, like, a garbage can, shoot the shit for maybe 4 minutes before I'm like, all right, peace, like, later. And it was just like the fucking, I wish I was cooler moment, you know? This is when you go like, I'm basic. This cat wants to hear cool stories. I got none.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was it. And then I went to so then I was amped up. I'm like, just fucking whatever. Went to a fucking Fred 62, this cafe in Los Feliz that's open 24 hours a day. Crushed like a patty melt or something like that. It was just like, I did it.
King.
Yeah.
King's meal.
Yeah.
That's dope.
Then they like cut me out of the movie basically. Which is fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. You could see my torso.
I knew it was.
Which at the time was on point.
That's dope.
Yeah.
What's the biggest difference between a Kyle Newacek set and a PTA set?
Well, so PTA is at a point in his career where style-wise or whatever, he's back in like Video Village. You know, he lets people kind of handle and wrangle and whatever. And he's doing his thing back there. Kyle, and by the way, this is my 12-hour
It's enough.
whatever of this one scene, you know. Kyle's very much about how the actor's feeling. If the actor's good, he's good. You know what I mean? Kyle's very emotionally intelligent, you know. He wants to make sure that as an actor, you're getting out of it what you want to get out of it too. You know what I mean?
Let's talk about Game Over, Man. When did you find out that Seth Rogen and Evan wanted to make that with you guys?
Several years ago. We wrote a movie that was pretty different, but pretty similar to Game Over, Man. That was about a building getting taken over, and only one of these guys worked at the hotel, but there was a big party that night, a big telefundraiser for like an oil spill with celebrities.
This is you, the guys, and Seth and Evan?
No, this is just me and the guys.
Oh, okay.
And there's like a big telefundraiser with celebrities, and one of the guys works at the hotel, hates his life, His 2 friends have other jobs. They hate their lives. He's like, you know what, man? It's Friday. There's a fucking oil spill celebrity telethon here. There's like a pre-party, after party. Come on by. Let's just get drunk and drink our fucking worries away. Then the party got taken over by terrorists who were like siphoning the money from the telethon or whatever. We wrote that script and got it to Scott Rudin. Scott Rudin hadn't done much comedy in the feature space. So he brought in Seth and Evan. And it was like, cool, we're all going to do this together. Great. So it took a minute to like switch it up, change it up. They all work at the hotel now, different jobs. Nope. Now they all work, same job. They're all maids. Celebrity telethon. Nope. Can't get that many celebrities. So let's get reasonable with it. All right. It's a video game launch party. Nope. That doesn't work. Let's just do, there's a fucking billionaire in town and the guys know who he is. So they ask him for money to make their own video game that they invented, because at a certain point we're like, oh, they're launching the Skinja is what it was called in the previous drafts, but Skinja is apparently a thing, so we changed it to Skintendo, which is so much funnier.
Yeah.
And I can't believe we didn't get sued. But we kept that and we made it. It was like the guys, they got this dream of doing this thing, but they're maids. So it evolved over time. And it's fucking tough. It's tough to like write an entire movie over and over and over again. Because there's things you know will be funny and you're like, fuck, that's got to go now. That's gone. But things that you have to keep, where you're like, we need to figure out a way to make this stay, because this is fucking funny. Like the Adam Belt thing, the erotic association thing. I was like, this is a heater. I've never seen anything like this in an action movie. This has to stay. Not that like anybody said it had to go, but we were forever working around that. We knew that having Shaggy singing at gunpoint from the first draft was a super funny thing. Mm-hmm. You know, that had to stay. But yeah, it's a fucking real bitch writing a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Notes from everywhere.
Yeah, you're getting notes. Some of them are great, and you go, oh yeah, we totally fucking dropped the ball there. Others are kind of like lateral moves, where you're like, we could change that. Okay. Pulls a thread, and other things fall apart, but let's try it. Let's try it out. Then there's notes you get that you're like, well, then we have to lose entire character stories. You know what I mean? Or like you feel like you're adding too much story. Now you got like, you know, you watch a movie that has like stories for like 10 characters now. It's fucking annoying, because then you're like, your Dark Knight moment is like all these fucking emotional things happening, and you're like, okay, I should be caring about like 1 or 2 or maybe 3 stories. You've got 10, so my ability to care, because you've chopped it into 10, like I'm just kind of like all over the place. Yeah. That's just me. I like movies that are kind of focused on 1 or 2 missions. When you have to service a ton of characters now, it's like, who cares? Just make that a runner. Nobody really cares. Make it a funny runner that it pays off. Because then you have like these act 3s where everyone's like apologizing and being like, I'm sorry, not only to you, but also to you for our story that we have together, and for you. And then you two, you guys also have a story together. So like I like to keep it streamlined. And we had other stories that we cut in post, because we were like, this is a lot of fucking story, you know? Not that you don't want story, you have to have story. But it didn't do us any real favors. Like, we had parents in this movie that kind of set up why Blake's character and my character are why they are, because their parents are super shitty and mean. And you don't even know that they're brothers in the movie. We pulled that out.
Yeah. I saw that screening where they did have the parents, and that was like one of the big notes.
Yeah.
And so, do you go back with the notes, or do you and all the producers go back with the notes after
We all
screenings?
sat and watched it and screened it, and it was like, it's too long, it's too much. It's too long in the beginning to set stuff up. It's too long in the end to tie things together. Let's fucking rip it.
So after it's filmed and everything, is your voice as the sole writer pretty much on it? Is your voice just the same as everybody else's voice, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, like with Workaholics, I think if you work in TV, you get used to just as a writer saying bye to stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Bye later. That's got to get cut. It's because especially in TV, we had 21 minutes and 15 seconds every week, not 22 minutes, not 21:30, not. We had 21 minutes and 15 seconds. So like if you filmed something that can't fit into that, you're losing shit. You have to say goodbye to stuff. So like I feel like I've got thick skin for that kind of stuff. And you just go, yep, that is correct.
Before you start writing a script, what do you like? What's your process like? Do you like note cards? Do you like whiteboards or?
I mean, I'm a whiteboard guy. Shout out to Quartet, the company that makes a lot of whiteboards. Send me your biggest, baby.
Yeah, those are.
I know they're listening.
Big, nice whiteboards.
Yeah, I mean, I guess what I do is I go like, I'll either start with a world or I'll start with a person, and then I'll go, who's the worst person for this world? Or, all right, that's a cool person. What's the worst world for this person?
Yeah.
You know, like how do I set them up for failure? Because that's the whole thing is you want to watch a movie where you're like, how is this person going to pull this off? Fuck, they did it. Wow. And like movies aren't that different from each other, you know, structure wise. Like, I mean, unless it's a tragedy, then that person did not pull it off.
Yeah.
But like, by and large, movies are pretty much like, here's this guy. Here's what's wrong with him. Oh, fuck, he wants this? Well, he's not going to get it unless he changes that thing that's wrong with him. He wants to change that thing that's wrong with him. And there's this thing that was introduced that he's willing to change for. So he sets out for it. But he doesn't really change. And guess what? In the middle of the movie, shit really hits the fan because he didn't really change. Fuck. Now he's in over his head and there's no turning back. But emotionally, he's wrecked. He feels bad about the first half of the movie. But somebody there goes, you can do it. And he goes, God damn it, I'm going to try. And he tries, but he fails. And he fails miserably, so bad so that he wants to quit. And he does. But then guess what? That same person that gave him the hope, they died in the hospital. Now, he sees life differently. And he goes, you know what? I gotta fucking go for that one thing one last time. And he does it. And he does it the way he should. And it fails for 1 second, but he goes, nope, I'm doing it the right way, and I'm going for it. I double down, and it pays off, and I got the thing, and I've changed. You just watched a movie.
Yeah.
You know, like...
That's a direct quote from Joseph Campbell right there.
Those are most movies.
Yeah.
So if you could just come up with a person who's got that flaw or that thing that seems kind of original and relatable so that people go, fuck, that's me.
And when you're sitting down and actually writing the dialogue and stuff like that,
right.
How much do you do in a day? Like, do you have a set?
Well, hopefully, my outline is so thick that, like, I can write, like 10 pages or 20 pages.
Wow.
Because it's already done.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And, like, at this point, I know exactly why the scene's there. Or then you find out like why a scene shouldn't even be there. I've written scenes where I'm like, oh, that doesn't need to be there. Gone. Wasted a day. But I didn't because now I know that I didn't need that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I'm not even talking about like a super tight, polished 10 pages or 20 pages. I'm talking about like, yeah, just put that joke down. Like I know he needs to insult her here because he's insecure and she needs to be mad at him for that scene later. So he says this. When I come back and reread the movie, I'll reread act by act, or every 25 pages. So I'll finish 20 pages, go back, read it, comb it a little bit, keep going to the next 25 pages, go back, read those 25, comb it a little bit.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're never going to fucking finish. I would never finish. I'm sure somebody could finish. Way to go. I would never finish. So I just keep going until I got 100 and 110 pages. And then I go back and I'm like, this joke is stupid. Beat it. And then I just try and beat it.
But then you actually have something to beat with. You have
Well, I have a movie. Like when you print out a fucking script and drop it on a table, that's off the chain.
Feels good.
Feels good. You're like, whoa, this was all in my brain.
It's like 4 months
now
of work.
It's here. I can go give this to somebody and they can go somewhere else. They can take a trip. Like it's a fucking weird thing because it didn't exist.
Yeah.
And then you wrote it and now, if it's game over, man, somebody's fucking filming it.
Yeah.
If it's one of my shitty movies from college, no one is reading it, but they could.
Yeah.
But yeah, so my outline, I'm not big on vague outlines. If I don't see it there, if it doesn't work, and this was the same on Workaholics, if like I was going off on script and I got an outline that was like, maybe this, it's like, what? Why didn't we sort this out? I don't want to send off, and from time to time this would happen, but like, I don't want to send off one of our writers to go script something if they're going to be like filled with questions about it. Because then they're going to be like, can I just wing it? Can I make something up? And like, you don't want to put them in that position. Even if they write something that's off the chain, you're like, oh, that's perfect. They're like taking a risk.
Yeah.
Because you could be like, hey, why'd you write that? That shit's not cool. That's not funny. Where'd that come from? So yeah, you just want to like, the movie's written. If you read an outline, that's like reading a movie. And then you just kind of punch it up and you find stuff. I find stuff that kind of connects characters a little bit more when I'm doing dialogue, or I'll find like runners, like a joke runner, where I'm like, that's funny. I should bring that back. I should make that a runner. And then I can bake that runner into the like last crescendo of action or whatever in the act 3. So it's like, not only was it just kind of a funny thing you watched, it's actually pivotal or like a major part of something tying together when you just thought it was like a throwaway funny thing that they kept
nurtured it.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's fun.
That's great, man.
Writing's fun.
This has been the Wonk Podcast with Anders Holm, actor, writer, father. Just dope dude. Yeah. Hey guys, thank you for listening to the Wonk Podcast. Stay tuned for future episodes where I'll be talking with Blake Anderson, Jillian Bell, and Scotty Landis, who used to write for Workaholics. Stay Wonk. Keep Wonk. Love Wonk. What was it like when you first met Adam? We kind of talked about because you met him at Second City.
Yeah, I was like, this dude has characters. He's super funny. He's got timing. And I think he just thought I was crazy weird.
He introduced you to Kyle?
No, I met Kyle at like a house party Adam had, and Kyle like tried to fight me. He was super hammered. And I guess Kyle had also just fought Adam in the front yard. Somebody was like yelling at me to get out of the upstairs apartment because everyone I knew was downstairs. Who are you? Oh, I'm sorry. Thought this was a party. Yeah, it's not. Oh, you're an asshole? I could be an asshole. And I like grabbed my Jamie Foxx DVD that I had lent Adam. And Kyle was like, you can't take that. That's my friend Adam's friend's DVD. I'm like, I'm the friend. He's like, oh, no. And then Adam's like, dude, what are you doing? Chill. That's his DVD. And I'm like, I'm out of here. And then we went and saw Kung Fu Hustle the next day. And then we've been bonded ever since.